It is Graham here, living the dream in April 2022, and we're currently in Lansing, which of course is the capital city of the great state of Michigan. I did promise at the introduction to the last video that this trip was not all about work. So today, Fiona and I are with our awesome friends Phil and Gail, who live here in Lansing, and we're going to be heading up to the north of the state, right up to the north of the state. And in fact, hopefully we will be crossing the Mackinaw Bridge, which separates northern Michigan from southern Michigan. But there has been a little bit of a problem over the last couple of weeks because the weather here hasn't been too good. And in fact, there's been a lot of freezing and the bridge has been closed due to ice falling from the expansions. So I'm not sure if we're actually going to make it up to the very north of Michigan, but we're going to try today. So come and join Fiona, Phil, Gail and I as we investigate what there is to see and do in northern Michigan. So the plan this morning was to pack up Phil's car before leaving Lansing for the 2 hours drive north to Gaylord, Michigan, where Gail's sister owned a beautiful lake house, and there we would deposit Gail's mother before continuing our journey north to the Mackinaw Bridge. Now, if that all sounds way too complicated, bear with me because all will become clear during this video. To put some context behind this episode, Phil and I met through business just over 15 years ago at the time of recording this video. Phil married Gail in the summer of 2008, and you would have met them before if you'd watched some of our earlier videos on the channel, including one of our earliest episodes where I pulled together a montage of photographs from Phil and Gail's wedding and posted the short video on YouTube. You would have also met our awesome friends when we visited Washington DC a few years later, again using a series of photographs stitched together to tell the story of that wonderful week that we spent in the US Capitol. Anyway, back to April 2022. It would take us approximately 2 hours to make the drive between Phil and Gail's house in Lansing and Gail's sister's house on Lake 27 near Gaylord in northern Michigan. And I know what you're thinking, Lake 27. Took a lot of imagination to come up with that name. And you will also notice that the further north we go in Michigan, the more snow and ice you're going to see. It is early April, and my friends were telling me that this is perfectly normal for Michigan at this time of the year. However, for Europeans like Fiona and I, this is completely alien, because Michigan would sit at the same latitude as the Basque region of northern Spain. But I doubt that Bilbao or Santander have ever seen snow, never mind in April. But here we are in the cold of northern Michigan, making our way to the lake house on Lake 27. And before I go any further, I want to make it clear that we will not be showing any video of this lake house to protect its privacy. However, I was given permission to record some time-lapse of a sunset and a sunrise the next day, which I'll be showing you in another episode. So as we approach the Mackinaw Bridge, it's time to tell you a little bit more about this very interesting bridge, which was opened in 1957 and is sometimes referred to as Big Mac or Mighty Mac. And it spans the Mackinaw Strait, separating Lake Michigan from Lake Huron. And as you can imagine, it replaced a ferry. And when it opened in November the 1st, 1957, it was the world's longest bridge at 4.995 miles long. And if you're wondering why it is spelt the Mackinac Bridge and not the Mackinaw Bridge while pronounced the Mackinaw Bridge, we were left wondering the same thing. So I particularly enjoyed Phil's explanation, blaming it on the French. And what I didn't realise during this first week of our two-state adventure was that we would be seeing lots more French influence when we made it down to Tennessee at the weekend. And that got me wondering what the United States would have been like if it had been French and not British before the War of Independence. As you can imagine, I have my own opinions, but I'll leave them there. But as we make our way northbound, across the Mackinac Bridge, you can see lots of ice still floating in Lake Michigan, or the Mackinac Strait that separates Lake Michigan from Lake Huron. We were told later that day that the Strait of Mackinac had only opened to sea traffic only a few weeks before, the ice making the journey between the two lakes impassable during 2 to 3 months of each year. And in fact, the Mackinaw Bridge was closed on the previous day due to ice forming and then falling from the expansion towers. That 30-second sped up little video as we crossed the Mackinaw Bridge took in reality just over 4.5 minutes. I just don't want you to think that Phil was speeding excessively. Anyway, back to our journey northbound. I do think that it is very interesting that the ice seems to be sticking to the more shallower water at the edges of the Mackinaw Strait. And as we approach the toll gates, which are only situated on the north side of the Mackinaw Bridge, I should tell you that it cost us $4 in either direction. However, what we didn't realise, and was explained to us by a local later on, if you make a return crossing in the same day, the return toll is waived. However, we didn't know that, so our 2 crossings of the Mackinaw Bridge that day cost us in total $8, which to be quite frank isn't too bad. Okay, there is a national park on the north side of the Mackinaw Bridge which gives you really good views of the bridge itself, and that is exactly where we're heading now. And I can tell you guys, it was absolutely freezing, so we took some pictures and got back in the car. So our plan now was to head back across, or should I say southbound across the Mackinaw, or is it the Mackinac Bridge, depending what you believe reading the signpost. Anyway, our plan was to head to Mackinaw City and have a look at the bridge from the south side before going for a wander around Mackinaw City itself. Anyway, that was the plan, but as you'll see later on in this episode, plans don't always work out. So, how wide is the bridge?
Just short of 5 miles, 48
feet short of 5 miles!
I didn't even know that.
Pay attention!
I know, I never pay attention.
As we made the short walk to the lighthouse on the south side of the Mackinaw Bridge, it is no coincidence that Gail is pulling up her hood. I can tell you guys, it was absolutely freezing in Mackinaw City. I don't think I've ever been that cold, and I've been to some pretty cold places on the planet over the years. But you can see the ice still floating on Lake Michigan. But I still struggled with the concept that it was so cold on the 5th of April 2022. After all, Scotland is at the same latitude as Labrador in Canada, and 2 weeks before we made this trip to the United States, temperatures in Scotland had reached the low 20s or the low 70s in Fahrenheit. And not even during the worst winters that I've ever experienced in the United Kingdom have I ever seen this level of ice before. So as you can see, Fiona and Gail had picked up the pace because the plan was to get back into the car and drive the short distance into the centre of Mackinaw City. But don't get too excited, guys, because we're out of season, and as a result, most of the shops and restaurants in Mackinaw City would remain closed for at least another month. So after buying some fudge, which I'm still eating to this day as I edit this video, we drove to our final bridge view location, where we will bring today's video to a close. So if you want to continue to follow Fiona, Phil, Gail and I, what a freezing cold northern Michigan has to offer during the first week of April in 2022, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon to be notified when our next video is published. So until that next video, thank you so much for watching.